Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Injury update, coming off a bye week. We're going to get Darius White back, so that's good. He's been out for quite a while, and it's going to be nice to have him back. I think we've stayed fairly healthy, and obviously, we're very fortunate there. Arian Penton is going to be indefinitely suspended for disciplinary reasons. And our bye week we just came off of, our goal in our bye week this late was obviously to get a rest from the grind of preparation, get a jump on academics or get caught up with academics depending on which situation our players are in, and then get a jump on Texas A&M. So a combination of all those. And I thought we had a real good week. We're excited about getting going again. The rest was good, and now we playing a very, very good Texas A&M team at Kyle Field. It's a great place to play. It's a great venue. And the great thing about the SEC is there's so many great places to play. So we're excited about that opportunity. They're 7-3. Kevin's doing a great job of building that program. And our team is pretty much we're back into game week mode. Just lock in. Today's Monday, and we just go on through. So we're excited about getting going again, and certainly have some great challenges ahead of us.
How will you handle the secondary? Obviously, Braylon suspended, and without Arian, who's going to fill those two starts?
Gibson is going to, and Ian Simon. So they'll move up. No, not Ian. So. No, Duran will be there, and Cortland Browning's going to move up. So we didn't want to change the depth. I'm sorry, I should mention that. So Cortland Browning will start at safety, okay? And we'll still keep Duran at the nickelback. Okay. So that's how that will go. And then halftime, we'll flip that back after halftime.
Gary, this week in particular, being shorthanded in the secondary, talk about A&M's receiving core and how good that.
They're very talented. They got some really talented players, and can make plays and great catches and certainly yards after their catches. So that's going to be a challenge for us, without question.
You guys had some experience, obviously, with Andrew Wilson last year when he missed the first half of the Indiana game, I believe. Mm-hmm. Did you work out plans to keep Braylon involved in the game for the first half when he can't be out there already, or is that more of a game time thing?
Well, that's more of a game type thing. He's not allowed to be on the field until the second half. So we just handle that internally.
Obviously, A&M's got a pretty good passing attack. How much of a handicap is that to be missing two starters from that secondary for a game like this?
Well, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to make adjustments, and things happen. Bottom line is we don't have excuses. We got to go out and perform at a high level. I think both those guys have played a lot, and so I think they'll do a good job, and we'll go from there.
What do you see from Kyle Allen, and how different is A&M's offenses compared to when Johnny Mizzou was playing?
Well, they have their offense. They run their offense. They're very unique. They got a lot of different things that they do. It's a very good system. And no matter who the quarterback is, they run their plays. I think, both these guys I think are very, very talented players. What we try to do as a defensive staff and coach staff and defense coordinators, you try to find out do they do certain things with one that they don't do with the other, and then you adjust your calls who's ever in the game. But there's no glaring difference in terms of their offense. They have their system, they run, they believe in it. He's been very successful in it, and it's the same thing they did with Johnny Manziel.
Coach, any decision on how long Arian Penn's suspension was?
No, he's indefinitely suspended.
Is that from practice and other team activities as well?
He's indefinitely suspended from our football program.
Could you clarify too, with Braylon Webb missing the first half, Eddie Prince would be the holder?
Yes.
Excuse me, A&M had so much success, especially Kevin Sumlin recruiting those quarterbacks, because obviously they have Manziel and then Kenny Hill and now Kyle. Is there anything in particular that you've noticed on why they've been able to have so much position and so much success in that position?
Well, obviously they recruited some good players, number one, and then two is they obviously develop quarterbacks very well. And, really I think that's it. They have a good system, I think. They recruit to their system. And they've had certainly some consistency there. And that's a great position to have consistency at.
Anything in particular you guys worked on with the offense during this bye week to try to, keep some momentum going that you guys have been able to build?
No, just execution. Execution, game planning. We had a couple practices. I thought we got a lot of work done, but just the consistency of playing and practicing. It's just and carry it over. I think you gain confidence when you have success in a game. And you know, hopefully, but you know, we work on everything all the time. You know, we're trying to become a better running team, a better passing team, a better throwing team in terms of catching and throwing. So you know, we're constantly working on all those things all the time, and you know, hopefully we can execute well, and you know, we're going to have to against this this football team.
When you see what Texas A&M did to Auburn over the weekend, what did you kind of see?
You know, it was a great football game. You know, they executed their offense and defense. It came down to the end. We saw the end of the game how it came down, but they did a great job. You know, winning a big game in a big time environment. So.
You've been at A&M several times in the past few years. Does that familiarity help with preparations at all going in? Or?
I think maybe it has a little bit. You know, we've been there. It's obviously a lot different than playing, you know, the other SEC schools because we've you know, been around the second time now, third year being in the league. You know, we've been to A&M a bunch of times. In fact, in the past few years, too many times, which I didn't have any control of the scheduling. But you know, certainly, you know, I think for those guys that have been there, I think really our players really like the environment. You know, it's a great environment to play college football. And as I being redundant a bit, but you know, the great things about playing this league, there's a lot of great venues, and A&M is another one. And I think for the players that have been there, obviously it's they're familiar with it. But you know, when you focus too much on where you're playing and not how you play, that's when you get in trouble. And so, you know, again, we get back to the philosophy. It doesn't matter who we play or where we play; it's how we play. And I'd like to think that our players are, you know, at least are maturing through that, so that we do that, because then you have a chance to play your best, and that's what we try to do.
After this year, you guys won't get to play A&M again until 2021. I mean, you feel like it's kind of a shame that this isn't going to be a yearly thing from now on, or how are you going to do that?
Honestly, I haven't looked at that or even thought about it. You know, we played A&M for a long, long time, but I don't know. I mean, you know, there's so many good football teams, and you know, there'll be another good football team. When we don't play them, there'll be another good one we play. So it's, you know, we played there. It's been a really good, you know, playing with those guys against that team. But you know, I honestly, I just look at the schedule, line up, and go play.
How has your offense changed in regards to the emphasis, you know, on running the ball and maybe taking some time off the clock?
I think we're doing some. You know, we just made a little bit of adjustment there. You know, run the football and lean on it a little bit. You know, there's a lot of different directions we can go, and I think we've done some good things. You know, I think our third downs have improved a little bit. I think they had only about 11 plays in the first half, I believe. Kentucky did 11 or 12 plays in the first half, I believe, our last game. So you know, so there's merit to it, but you still got to score points. You still got to outscore your opponent. So. You know, when your defense is playing really well, you know, that certainly helps them. And also, if you don't turn the ball over and your kicking game provides long fields, it really helps too. So it's a combination of all those things. And you can get through 3 first downs and punt and put your opponent on the 10-yard line, you know, and there's benefits in that. And so I think, you know, there's some good things, but, you know, we have to, you know, we'll have to completely, continually improve to try to, you know, to play better.
Mitch Morse obviously had some big shoes to fill moving to the left side where Justin Britt was. What do you make of the job he's done this year and maybe some improvement or he's shown from last year?
Well, I think, you know, going from right, first of all, he played real well last year, you know, as a junior, and going from right to left is significant. I mean, but he had a lot of time to do it. You know, we had him there in spring and everything else, and I think he's really doing well. It's a different position for him, but you know, he's playing well at in a real physical league, and both our tackles and our whole offensive line will have some challenges this week because they have some great pass rushers. So we'll have to deal with that. Did I say something wrong?
You mentioned before that the team faces a similar situation a year ago when you got into November. Can that be beneficial? They've experienced it once before. Is there any kind of carryover?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't really talk about last year and previous years very much. I talk maybe about years that these players have not been involved with because you did something one year doesn't mean you're going to do it the next. Nobody would like everything to work out exactly like it did last year. That's fine. I think, you know, certainly, you know, you got to play well. The guys can do the math. The players can do the math. You don't have to talk to them about, you know, what's out there. if anything, one thing they learned from last year, or any time you get in November, you want to compete for a championship. The game that you're playing is the most important one, and so I think in their own way they probably do that. I don't spend much time talking about it. You know, I just don't go that direction.
Auburn got over 300 yards on the ground. Was there something that you saw in the game possibly where you guys might be able to exploit the rush defense?
Well, you know, I think you're always trying to, again, there's things that you look at game plan wise. You're going to game plan your plays and formations versus the things that you're going to see on defense. And, you know, because a team did really well or didn't do so well against a run game or pass game doesn't automatically mean you're going to see the same things that they saw. So it's every week's different, you know. They got a good defensive football team. And so we're going to have to, you know, we're going to have a good game plan. We're going to have to block and finish blocks, and you know, hopefully we can be able to execute.
What has Kenny Dennis shown you since he got here?
A lot of improvement. Great kid. Really, you know, had a really good game last 2 weeks ago. But really just a guy that's one of those guys that, you know, come from a junior college and just kind of dove in the program and the discipline and all that we do. Sometimes that's a big adjustment, especially for junior college players. He just jumped right in and he kind of gravitated to it. He liked it. You know, we have it obviously in academics, every phase of our program. And I think he really, it was neat to see him embrace it. You know, he's got a great attitude. He works hard. He's got a lot of energy. And so it's really pleased with his progress. He's a lot better player right now than he was certainly, you know, 6 or 7 weeks ago. And, you know, he's going to have his challenges against this football team.
You mentioned A&M's pass rush a little bit earlier, but their freshman Miles Garrett, what does he bring to the table that makes him so difficult?
Just can run, you know, long and run. They can great speed off the corner. You know, we face those guys in our team all the time, and they are real talented. They come off the corner and they got great foot speed. And with that, you know, that's the challenge. I mean, so there's a lot of things. You know, you look at, you move the quarterback around. What's a 3-step drop, 5-step drop, play action pass, screens. You know, the draws. There's a lot of things you do to try to slow them down, to make them cover other things. But certainly, you know, their numbers speak for themselves. Those guys, you know, I think they're one of the best in the country in sacks. And so, you know, that's our challenge.
Coach, with your secondary coming off maybe its strongest game of the year, do they feel fairly confident that they can fill these holes that they're going to have to deal with?
Well, I think they do. I mean, I think, you know, it's going to happen. You know, it happens to, you know, you can have injuries or, you know, different things that happen, and you know, there's no choice. I mean, you got to go out. We expect players to play well, and what I always tell our football team too is when we have some new people playing or starting, both these guys have played before, is that, you know, people around them playing really, really well is going to help those guys play well. So I don't really worry so much about those guys. I worry about making sure that the guys around them play at a very, very high level. And that kind of spreads it over the team rather than pointing at 1 or 2 or 3 guys.
What's the key for maybe a couple keys that you've noticed that can help contain A&M's passing game?
Contain it? I think you try to contain it. You know, I mean, you do it with pass rush, you do it with coverage. You know, it's difficult. I mean, you know, we know that is. So if I had the answers, you know, we'd do it all the time. But you know, certainly you want to go out and perform well, and you know, pass rush has a lot to do with it. Coverage, you know, all those things are certainly things that are concern. You know, they're a good screen team. Also, they run the bubble screen. They all different types of screens and stretch the field and then they vertically stretch the field also. So they got a good scheme, a good system. You know, Kevin does a good job. So, you know, played against it last year, and you know, it's certainly a task, and it's going to be a task this year.
Like you and Shane shared a moment on the field after the Kentucky game. You've had a couple, at least a week to reflect now, the significance of him getting the single season record.
Well, Shane is such a great competitor. You know, he's really just, you know, he's one of the great competitors I've ever been around. I'd put him in my top 5 since I've been coaching. I mean, he's got great ability. He's matured. He's become a lot better football player, you know, with his work ethic. But when he goes out there, he plays at a different competitive level. And at that position, you know, you're not going to win every time. And what you do is you have to have enough resolve and mental toughness and discipline to be able to, and super aggressiveness and competitiveness to go in and really do what he does. And so it was just neat to see him. I ran into him and, you know, gave him a big hug. But and I remember, you know, in his you know, like that, I reflect a little bit after the game with him about being in his house with his mom. when we were recruiting him, in Kansas City, and he was making a decision to come here and committed to us, and kind of all the, it was just kind of neat how things have worked out. It's kind of funny when you see an 18-year-old kid sit there, and then all of a sudden you see, this guy's making all these plays, and there's an example of a guy last year that did a lot of good things, but he's taken his game as a senior to a whole different level, and it's just really neat to see that. And it's a great visual aid for our team because he's got a tremendous work ethic. And, just watch that guy, do what he does, and you got a chance to be as good as you can be.
Coming off 3 straight wins, do you have to worry at all about players being focused through the bye week?
I don't know. I'm not worried about the bye week. The bye week's fine. I didn't care if they thought about football at all other than, doing a little bit of study on A&M. Now we got to lock in and go. It's good to get away. It was, in my opinion, it's good to get away, okay? Now let's lock in and let's get going. And if we got to talk players into playing now, then we're in trouble. If we got to, play our best, if we got to sit there and how are we going to motivate them, we got a lot of problems then, and I don't think we have that problem. Bottom line, when you get where we're at, you're in November, it's our second game in November. The opportunities are out there. Everybody knows what they are. The one chance you got is to play your very, very best and do everything you can to play your best, and that's, what our focus is.
Has your shift moved away from Texas at all from a recruiting standpoint?
Not necessarily. We're still recruiting in Texas. It's real important to us. Obviously, we're stretched down in Nashville, and Florida, Georgia, some of those areas, Louisiana a little bit too, So, we're just branching out because that's the market there. And we did the same thing. Actually, when we got here, we did a lot of different things, and we blew up Texas at the time. But we got a lot more to cover. It is SEC country. So I think that transition will probably take, 2-3 years to see where it goes. We don't have as many coaches recruiting in Texas, although we're recruiting heavily in Texas, but we branched out to other SEC venues and areas. And, it'll just take a while to kind of see how it plays out.
People always will point to from the outside in recruiting certain areas, playing a game in that state. Is that a factor when you recruit kids that, hey, we play a game, in Texas or in Tennessee or whatever, or do you find that that's not a big deal?
I think if you do play a game there, I think it's a plus. I don't think there's any question about it, reverse not. But now, because of TV, you can see every game now, absolutely every game. So I think it's a lot easier to recruit out of state probably than it's ever been. So because mom and dad can and all your relatives, all your friends, everybody can see you play. And so the dynamics of that have changed a lot. It's all changed in recruiting. I've been doing this a long, long time, and now you just go online and you look a player up and you evaluate his video. Back in the day, I'd go down to Los Angeles and get 45 16mm film in 2 pieces of luggage and bring them back up to Seattle, and then we have to send them back mail. So it's gone a long, long way. So I'm dating myself, so I'm going to stop right here. So. Technology has been incredible.
Are you assuming that they are going to stick with Allen at quarterback, or do you guys really know?
We don't really know. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I think you're in a situation, if you go with one, they're not playing very well, then you got another one that they might go with. I don't know. We got to be prepared for both, but I have no idea, what's going on, internally there. So I know both of them are very capable, and it's a good problem, to have.
Did you see him make a pretty big jump then from his first game to the second?
Well, he really did some really good things, no question about it. He threw the ball downfield, made, I think it's 4 touchdowns, wasn't it? I think that's what he scored. So he really did. And there's an example of a freshman coming in a big environment and really doing a great job. They did better in the second half against him, but overall, I thought it was a great, great performance.
What do you think kept Russell Hansbrough from putting up his usual numbers against Kentucky, and is there anything you did to get him back on track?
I'm sorry.
What do you think kept Russell Hansbrough from putting up his typical numbers against Kentucky?
I don't know. We try to share the runs. Sometimes you get more opportunities than others. We'd like to get more big runs. How you get big runs is you sustain blocks a little bit more up front. You get perimeter blocks from your receivers, so the secondary run support that don't come in and make tackles. And so we're working real hard always to do that. But Russell's working very, very hard. It's not going to work out all the time. But I think certainly. He did some good things, and he's doing a good job along with Murph.
You guys are on the longest road win streak in the SEC. You put any stock in that at all when you head on the road for these 2 big games?
No, I don't. This is just another game, very important game for us.
What's been the secret to you guys winning some of these games, though.
I don't want to talk about it. So I'd rather just focus on this football game. Okay. We always have to have one more question, don't we? So, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.